Welcome back to another episode of Infinite Jess for MLB.com's Cut 4. I'm Jess Kleinschmidt, and this week we're going to be talking about the Astros, specifically one Mr. Alex Bregman. Now, he's been having a very, very successful season, but just in the month of September alone, he's got 5 home runs, and he's boasting a .448 batting average. Now, this is, of course, since we recorded this on Monday, and I wanted to make sure that you guys are not only paying attention to what he's doing at the plate, but in the dugout. He's been having a lot of fun with some celebrations, bringing his teammates into it. We, of course, know that awesome stare with him after Tyler White hit a home run recently. He brought George Springer into it. Tony Kemp, of course, was there, and they just said, boom, looked at the camera. It was glorious. Now, not only is he doing the Bregman stare, as are people calling it? I'm going to call it that. But he's also incorporating some Olympic sports. They did a curling type of thing. Not this curling that I've obviously mastered, but Olympic curling where they're with the broomsticks and the thing. You don't really know what's happening, but you kind of love the sport. You stop and you watch it. And recently, the most recent one that was really fun to watch, I know I said recently a couple times, but this did happen recently. He hit his 30th home run of the season against the Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park. And this is how he celebrated. Take a look.
How hot is Alex Bregman right now? That is his 5th home run in his last 7 games, and he has 10 extra base hits over those 7 games.
It was really cool, and I'm really glad he did that. Now, I wanted to know how the Astros were able to have this amount of fun following a World Series win. Now, I'm a former athlete, and I like to think about a time where I was successful. I don't know if I'd be too serious, my next at bat, my next game. And it seems like the Astros are having a lot of fun with it. So I was curious to know, how are they able to find that balance? From the Houston area, Miss Alyson Footer. She's a Houstonian. I found out you can't call them Houstoners. Anywho, I'm going to give Alyson a call, and then we are going to get this awesome thing started. And my hair is in my face. So Alyson Footer is here, and I'm so excited she's here for many reasons, but mainly because you're a Houston. You're a Houstoner? Is that what it's called?
Houstonian.
Houstonian! Yeah, that sounds way prettier than my version. But you're, of course, from MLB.com, and you're in that area. And I wanted to talk about the Astros, not only because they've been performing well on the field, but they've had a lot of fun in the dugout. Now, living there, and after these Astros just finished winning a World Series, what has the vibe been in the city since taking home all of those World Series rings?
Yeah, it's changed a lot because now when I walk around town, I see a lot of Astros jerseys. Mm-hmm. I'll go to a bagel store near my neighborhood on a game day, like on my way to the ballpark to grab a bagel and some coffee. Mm-hmm. And 80% of the people in there will be in Astros gear, on their way to the game. And I know that if you're in New York or Boston or Chicago, something, these cities that are a little more citified, I guess, that's not unusual, but here that's highly unusual. So it's really, the city it became a baseball town a long time ago. So that's not this new thing. But in terms of when you win a World Series, it just changes everything.
So the Astros, obviously, we just mentioned they just won the World Series, so we know the confidence level is going to be there. I'm always curious, there's always the World Series hangover, even the Cy Young Award hangover, those things happen. But it looks like the Astros are still having fun after just winning the World Series. How is it possible to have that much of a balance in a team like that?
Because this team is so ridiculously good. And I've been around a lot of really good Astros teams. And the talent level, just individually from position to position and all the way through the rotation, they're just so good that they kept, obviously, the team largely intact from last year. The only thing they did was add more good players. They can weather any kind of injury issues. They were without 3 superstar players for almost a month all at the same time. And they only, I said that in quotations, went 6 games over 500 over that time. So, when you win, there's you come to the ballpark and it's just a completely different feeling when you come to the ballpark every day and you know that you have this amazingly good chance to win the baseball game that day. A lot of things that might matter in other clubhouses and among other groups of people that are from all different kinds of backgrounds and diversity and and all that, everybody just really likes each other. So I am a believer in chemistry, that it can make or break a clubhouse. But the best way to have good chemistry in your clubhouse is to win baseball games all the time, and the Astros have kind of mastered that. So, they're just having a good old time. They've taken it to a different level this year, though.
Yeah, no, I'm a firm believer in chemistry too. Not the actual subject itself. I sucked at that,
Oh,
but gosh,
yeah, me too.
I'm like, leave math out of this. Like, stop. But no, when it comes to that, like, you're right. The confidence level is there when you're winning, and then you're more relaxed, you're more having fun. And, as a former athlete, I performed better when I was confident and having fun and everything like that. And you mentioned when they were injured, I almost forgot that Correa wasn't on there for a little bit and Altuve wasn't, because the way they were playing, you would think that they had all their core players still dominating. So it's kind of fun in that aspect as well. And they've been celebrating a lot. And, after Bregman and Tyler White have been hitting home runs, they've been celebrating a lot in the dugout with like some cool, Olympic stuff, like pretending to go do curling, which weirdly took over the world. People love that damn sport. It's so weird. And so out of that and, like staring at the camera and the bobsledding stuff, what has been one of your favorite things to see these Astros do celebrating?
I really like the dugout stare. I mean, maybe that's like boring at this point because there have been so many things that have come after that. But I think the dugout stare is perfect because it's subtle, it's contained. All of these things are all contained in the Astros dugout, which I think is the coolest part because it's not showing up the other team. The other team can't even see you doing it.
Right.
It's right in front of the cameras where your fans are watching, and this is really for the fans anyway. So I say, bring on more of the stuff. But the dugout stare is just funny because when you're really good at it, it's clever and it's cool, and you like to sing Alex Bregman. And then when you're really like just completely out of your element and you don't really know what to do, like if you're Tyler White or Jake Marisnick, that makes it even more fun too, because they're like, what do I do right now? Well, everybody's like being like super cool and looking right in the dugout, and they're like, hi.
Right.
So you kind of get a bit of everybody's personality. I mean, I've been around this team, as you know, a very long time. So I've been here for a lot of really lean years. And when Jose Altuve first came up, and he started emerging as a star player pretty quickly after that. And of course, we all know that he's 5'5", and I think he and Carlos Lee overlapped a bit. Carlos was kind of in the last stages of his contract here, but he's very tall. So Jose Altuve would hit a home run, and then he'd come in the dugout, and everybody would purposely hold their hands up above their heads to do the high fives with Jose because he couldn't reach them. And it was really funny. I mean, Jose's like really good natured about all that stuff. So all those things are really good. But I think like the dugout stare, because you can keep doing that through the postseason and not lose your intensity because It takes like 2 seconds to do it.
Yeah, and it's not obnoxious. And if you look at the GIF of them all doing it, it kind of looks like a dance scene from Step Up, 2. It looked really cool. I was like, and you see like Bregman's little head pop out at the last minute. You're like, this is kind of like you get addicted to it, and it makes it fun. And like you said, it brings the fans into the dugout with them, kind of reminding like you're part of this game too. So I really enjoyed that. So I'm glad you brought that up. Now, obviously, I have to know if you were to hit your 30th home run of the season off the Boston Red Sox at Fenway, how would you celebrate?
So maybe because I'm not actually a baseball player and I have stopped caring what people thought of me years ago, so I don't really care if it would make the other team mad.
Yes.
Yeah, like I got over that, about a decade and a half ago. But so I maybe because like you're in Boston and the seafood up there is really good, maybe like do the hand motions to like a fishing reel, like a fishing rod.
Oh,
okay.
Throw,
I'm holding my iPad right now, so I can't actually demonstrate this for you.
Oh,
but throw the rod into the water and then bring it on in. I guess that would probably create a little consternation among me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I like that.
Yeah, or like a big thing of clam chowder, but like this would be a little bit harder to actually identify that I'm holding like a huge thing of clam chowder and do like stir it up.
Yeah, well, then just yell for that. This is clam chowder. You got it? This is clam chowder. Okay, cool. Yeah, just engage with the fans even more, and then we can do like a fun bad lip reading thing and really have some fun with it and really pretend you said something else. That could be a whole another ball game.
Exactly. I mean, your teammates would probably get mad at you at some point for like jinxing something and citing the probably biggest competition you're going to have in October. Again, I'm not actually a Major League Baseball player,
Right.
so I can just talk freely on this stuff and really not care what anybody
But
thinks.
it was
But
all
I think
fine
the fishing
until,
rod.
It was all fine until Footer did the clam chowder thing, and then the next thing you know, we lost the title. Who knows?
Exactly. Hey, we are baseball people. That is how we function.
I totally get it. Like, I'm superstitious when I write. Like, it's the weirdest thing. Like, I can't imagine, like, not being in a slump and sticking to that. So do your clam chowder thing and fish for the fish and do what you need to do. I totally appreciate that. You are fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me, and tell everybody where to find all of your work on Twitter.
Oh, my Twitter has been a lively place lately.
It's so fun. I love it.
Yeah, if you would like to actually tweet me, my settings are set so I probably can't see the tweets anyway, but it's at Alyson Footer, ALYSONFOOTER. Someday my book is probably going to include a lot of really interesting excerpts. But Jess, I appreciate you having me on the show because I've been having my fingers crossed that someday I was going to make the guest list.
Oh my gosh, I was nervous to ask you. I'm like, she's got better crap to do than come on my stupid show.
No, this is like exactly what I want to be doing today. So I stay up late Sunday nights to do my power rankings. I always wait for the Sunday night game to be over before I file it. So Sunday nights are a really late night for me. So Mondays I'm kind of dragging a little bit. So this is perfect. I'm like a little hazy and I'm talking to you. It's good.
That's what I like my guests to be, is a little hazy. It's perfect.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Jess.
Thank you, Alyson, for joining me. Now, it was really cool to get her perspective because she said just the feeling of Houston itself is so different. Just a year ago, you couldn't get people to watch the Astros play in a restaurant setting or at a bar setting, and now you can't get them to not watch. So that's obviously amazing to hear. The Astros have been so much fun to cover, and I really hope you guys continue following them, and they're giving us so much to work with, and Bregman's, of course, so much fun. And especially, like Alyson mentioned, looking into the eyes of the viewers at home, reminding them that they're part of this game too. And it's certainly great to know that they're thinking about the fans. So I'm appreciative of that. So the cool segment I have for you, Tell Me Something Good, is back. And this one I had to be very, very careful with who or which tweets I wanted to talk about. I asked people when they were younger if there was a specific baseball player they wanted to be when they grew up. Now, I wanted to be Cal Ripken Jr., mainly because I was born in Baltimore, and that's who we basically were obsessed with growing up. And then, of course, when I was playing back in Little League, I was in the Cubs and the Cardinals, and that's when I discovered the Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa battle, and that was great. Nowadays, I want to be Joey Votto because he's awesome, and he's outspoken, but so knowledgeable and always wants to learn about the game of baseball. And that's what I strive to do too. So let's get started. The first one, I actually just asked her because she's awesome, and that's Miss Gemma Kaneko, and she is obsessed with Ichiro Suzuki, and why not? And she mentioned, I love Ichiro Suzuki, and I still want to be him. So this is from the time she was younger until now. And I don't blame her. And I bet you if Ichiro met Gemma, Ichiro would want to be Gemma when he grows up. It's cool. So Seth Frankoff, he of course, he plays professional baseball overseas. He's formerly of the Cubs and the A's organization. Great guy. He wanted to be Trot Nixon. He's from Wilmington, North Carolina, where he attended college and where my family is from. He played right field for my favorite team growing up, the Boston Red Sox. He played the game hard every single day. Did I mention he's from Wilmington? And I love how people bring that up and they're attached to somebody who's from their hometown and made it in the bigs. And of course, he had Seth Frankoff himself had a cup of coffee in the bigs. So it's just really cool to know that that's who they were looking up to before they made it. Speaking of before they made it, Robert Stock of the San Diego Padres, who's been having a phenomenal season on the bump, said that he looked up to Joe Mauer. And that was a very popular decision, or I guess response for this particular tweet, because I feel like when you think of Joe Mauer, you think of the All-American player, not even just the great numbers, just a great guy, and staying true to his hometown, and just a great human being. And when your kids look up to a certain athlete, that's the type of guy you want to think of, right? Roy, optimistic Padres fan at Zippy_TMS, said Tony Gwynn in all caps and about 3 exclamation marks. Best hitter of his generation, underrated fielder, universally beloved in San Diego and throughout all of baseball. And then he sent me this really cool gif of Tony Gwynn, who just not just exudes San Diego baseball, but you know, he coached the colleges around there in baseball, and people met him, and he was just a great guy. And every time I hear a story about him, it's always good stuff. So that's fantastic. Jesse, you're it _ not _ it. You're it, not it. Okay. He said, or she said, Barry Bonds, his swing, his speed, his power, his confidence, his earring. I get it. Those are some of the reasons why he was and is my favorite player of all time. He's the reason I became a San Francisco Giants fan, and he's the reason why I've always been number 25. I agree. I feel like Barry Bonds not only exudes even if you don't love baseball, you're not obsessed with it like I am, you know who Barry Bonds is. And just from the time he was younger and going through all the stuff he went through, even what he's going through now, you know, and obviously being a coach and doing what he needs to do, he's still a legend, and that's great. Charm City Autographs says, Cal Ripken Jr., being from Maryland, ayo, I got to watch him play every day. I tried to model the way that I played after him, even when he would change his batting stance every week. Do you realize, like, there's these baseball players that are changing what these kids are looking at? Obviously, they see Mike Trout hitting a certain way, so they want to hit a certain way. And that's really cool to be able to exude your own version of Cal Ripken Jr. I think that's fantastic. Chris Kleinschmidt, I hope that's right. Then David Justice, used to mimic his swing in my backyard, now Bobby Bonilla, so that I could get paid millions for a job I had 20 years ago. Preach, Chris. David Justice was just recently on LB Network, and what a great guy. The moment he signed off, the guys, I believe it was Roflo and Mark DeRosa, just said, why don't we have him on more often? Just a personable guy, of course, you know, very much a legend that I grew up watching with the teams that I love, so that's great. Courtney James at Nijo15 said, Andre Scalaraga. I just loved saying his name, and that his nickname was the Big Cat. So growing up, we watched a lot of Braves play, right? So there was a certain amount of players that you would see. And every time I would see a name like Chipper Jones or, of course, you know, Andre Scalaraga like that, I thought Andre Scalaraga was his last name. Yeah, I did. I thought Dylan Betances was all one last name when I first heard of him. So, yeah, I love that name, Andre Scalaraga. You know how you hear those baseball names, you're like, damn, that's a good baseball name. That's a good baseball name. Ohio U Bobcats said, Randy Johnson, because I have way too many pigeons hanging out in my neighborhood. Sometimes you gotta, yeah. Nathan Olson said, Mark McGuire, because he was a monster and ripped absolute bombs. Hell yeah, he did. This is one of my favorites. Travis Anderson, Travis_DTS, said Ken Griffey Jr., which was a very popular response to, and that along with Ryan Sandberg. Ken Griffey Jr. had that swing that you're watching it and you're just like, damn, boy. Yeah. Ken Griffey Jr., he had the most perfect swing. He had style. He was just plain cool. If I could be any baseball player now, I'd go with Joey Votto. Mm-hmm. Happy birthday, by the way, Joey Votto. Today's his birthday, the day that we recorded this. Mm-hmm. He consistently gets on base, has some attitude once in a while, and has fun playing the game. The game looks easy to him, which is true. I feel like if you watch the way that Joey Votto plays, I'm so excited to talk about him. He chokes up and he plays, you know, with the short swing, and it works perfectly, and he just exudes what everybody should be in baseball. He's fun, he's outspoken, he's quirky, he's weird. I know I've already said that, but he also is constantly learning. When he was on the DL recently, you would look over and he was talking to his teammates, asking them questions. We don't really know if they were about baseball, but it could have been like, where are you going after this? Do you want to grab a bite to eat? It's fine. Thank you guys so much for your responses. That was probably one of my most fun Tell Me Something Goods. And thank you once again for tuning into Infinite Jess on this week. And for LB.com's Cut 4, I'm Jess Kleinschmidt, and I'll see you next time.